Stress in professional practice. Almost all life and work environments can face a stressful situation. Stress influences the employees, employers, and the society very negatively. Stress is experienced in the areas such as workplace, finances, marriage, family relationships, life changes, and health related issues. We can control some causes of stress. However, other some stress related issues occur due to the effects of the external or medical causes. Stress is a state of mind that reflects certain biochemical reactions in the human body and is projected by a sense of anxiety, tension, and depression. It is caused by such demands by the environmental forces or internal forces that cannot be met by the resources available to the person. The intensity of such demands that require a adjustment of resources or operational styles would determine the extent of stress. Such environmental events or conditions that have the potential to induce stress are known as stressors. Medical researcher Hans Selye first used the term stress to describe the bodily biological response mechanisms. He defines stress as the non-specific response of the body to any demand. It must be understood that for the stress to occur, the response should be non-specific. All responses require utilization of energy. Any demand made on the body that is for some specific activity that is natural, expected and a part of daily routine does not necessarily create stress. Even walking, thinking, writing, and doing physical activities that are a part of personal and organizational existence require energy consumption of the body but are not necessarily stress producing forces. Stress does not necessarily occur due to undesirable developments. All situations that produce increased demand on a vital activity requiring adaptation to a new situation produce stress in the form of a stereotype pattern of biochemical, functional, and structural changes in the human organism. These situations could be fear, pain, fatigue, emotional arousal, humiliation, frustration, need for concentration, loss of blood, drugs, loss of a loved one, non-occurrence of an expected event, and even unexpected successes that require a change in the operational style. Now we are going to discuss about the sources of stress. There are two major sources of stress. These are organizational sources and personal sources. Here, both these categories are discussed in detail. Number 1. Organizational sources. Almost every aspect of work can be a stressor for someone. Even though there are many factors in the work environment that have some influence on the extent of stress that people experience at the job, the following factors have been shown to be particularly strong in inducing stress. Number 1. Stressors intrinsic to the job. The nature of the job itself can determine the type and degree of stress that can be induced. Some jobs lead to more stress-related responses than others. In general, high-stress occupations are those in which the employees have little control over their operations, work under time constraints, and have major responsibilities for human and financial resources. There are two job factors that affect the level of stress-related risk. These factors are the level of psychological demand and the level of decision control over work. People with high psychological demands and low decision control are constantly under pressure for the must meet the demands imposed upon them without having any say in it. Next, role ambiguity. A role is a set of activities associated with a certain position in the organization or in the society. According to Khan, if these work activities are ill-defined, then the person who is carrying out these activities will not behave as others expect him to because his role is not clearly defined. Next, role conflict. It occurs when two or more persons have different and sometimes opposing expectations of a given individual. Thus, there are two or more sets of pressures on the individual so that it is not possible to satisfy all of them. In other words, role conflict occurs when contradictory demands are simultaneously placed upon an employee. Next, role overload. It occurs when the work requirements are so excessive that employees feel that they do not have adequate time or ability to meet such requirements. Working under time pressure is especially stressful, whether it is meeting a deadline for a report or studying near the exam period. Next, role underload. It occurs when a person's ability is underutilized so that either there is too little work or there is too little variety in the work. Next, responsibility for people. Any type of responsibility can be a burden upon an individual. However, it is the responsibility for people working for you that is a cause for continuous concern. Next, lack of participation. When the clients are invited to participate in decision making process in their areas of concern, then they perceive that they have more control over their own environment, thus reducing the extent of role conflict and role ambiguity that cause stress. Now let's talk about personal factors in stress. Events in personal life cannot be isolated from events in work life. A person with an unhappy family life seldom expresses a positive attitude at work. Much of the stress brought about by non-work situations may be due to divorce, marriage, death of a loved one, financial difficulties, and many other socio-cultural relationships. These difficulties are stress producers, especially if they are unexpected. For example, we know that children leave home when they grow up or when they go to college, so that this is expected, and this separation does not necessarily cause stress. On the other side, problems at work can manifest in stress in personal life. Thus, job stress and life stress are often related in that high stress in one area can induce or increase stress in the other. Some of the specific non-work stressors are as follows. Number 1. Job concern. Job and career variables can become stressors when they become sources of concern, anxiety or frustration to the individual. One of the major concerns is the lack of job security. Except for jobs with tenure or strong union support, very few employees have job security. This insecurity increases during times of recessions or impending recessions. The prospect of losing a job, especially when you have a family and your social roots are well established, is very stressful. Next, relocation. When an employee has to relocate geographically because of a transfer or promotion, it disrupts the routine of his daily life, causing concern and stress. The fear of working in a new location, unpredictably about new work environment, and the prospect of creating new relationships always cause some anxiety. Next, changes in life structure. The structure of life and process of living has many facets. Some of these facets are socio-cultural in nature, such as family, religion, race, education, economic situations, as well as a person's interaction with the socio-cultural world. In the role of a husband, a parent, a friend, or a citizen. In addition, the life structure may change as we grow older from one period to another, such as childhood to adolescence, and so on. As we grow older, our responsibility to ourselves as well as others changes and increases. Higher the responsibility, greater the stress. The extent of stress is also determined by the ability to cope with the stress or the kind of sources a person seeks to deal with stress. For example, people who have strong faith in God and His will find it easier to deal with such stressful situations as the loss of a loved one. Similarly, family and friends are source of great comfort at such times of crisis. The degree of stress created by certain events in life can be assessed by social readjustment rating scale developed by Thomas Holmes and Richard Drake. In order to construct the stress impact scale, they asked people to rate as to how long it would take to adjust to constraint certain stressful events and how severe the adjustment to these events would be. From the responses, they developed a ranking and a weighting for each of these stress producing events.